Hello everyone, it's T.c.r, and I'm back with another Thomas & Friends Bluebird video. So, in my last video, we took a look at all the characters from Thomas and the Magic Railroad, my favorite Thomas & Friends movie of all time. But today, we're going to be taking a look at more of Agent Andrew's OCs. So, you may recall a few months ago that I actually did a video on Adam's OCs. Adam, Molly, Shade, and Agent of Death. But now, we are taking a look at more of Agent Andrew's OCs. That's right, we are looking at none other than the T.c.r. fleet themselves. Yes, the T.c.r. fleet. Now, this is quite the motherlode of Thomas OCs, and I have to say, these are some of the best OCs that Adam has ever created. I think Agent Andrews is the best at making OCs, if I'm being honest. Now, there are other OCs that he has created, although this is my OC made by Calvin. This is me as a Thomas & Friends character. Which, I gotta say, he did a nice job making me as a character. And I do love being added with Agent Andrews over here. Dude, I think Agent Andrews is a great guy. And so is Calvin, but who knows, maybe one day, I don't know. But still, it is nice to have this character right here, and then he has a new villain called Lilith, which would be interesting as a character. I know that one day he might make a series called An Engine's Life or a Sodor Life, I don't know, and I know that he also made a new villain called Lilith over here. Now, she does seem a bit of an interesting character, but I don't know that much about her, so one day I might talk about her later, as well as my OC right here. But today we're just focusing on what are the T.c.r. members as of right now. I do know that Adam said that he has more of his T.c.r. fleet members, though it might take a while before they get uploaded to his DeviantArt account. And yes, these all came from his DeviantArt account. Basically he uploads sprite models and trains models of his OCs and other OCs as well, including my OC right here, so thank you, Agent Andrews, for that. I appreciate your support. But today we're talking about what is the T.c.r. fleet here. I'm saying, hold on. These are the current members of the T.c.r. fleet. There are more, but these are just the ones that are out right now. It may take a while before the rest of them get uploaded to DeviantArt, but when they do, I might make them soon. But I gotta say, I really have to thank Agent Andrews for creating the T.c.r. fleet themselves here and commenting about them and telling me what they are based off of. Now, I have forgotten a few things, but I do remember most stuff. I have the comment of what their character traits are pulled up on my laptop, so if I forget, I'll just look at that. Now, I might have a few questions about these T.c.r. members, because I do know what their personalities are, but I do not know what side they are on. I know most of them are good, and I know most of them can be a bit antagonistic, but I think one of my biggest questions I have right now is, why is Shade a member of the T.c.r. fleet if he is a quote-unquote villain? Because all Shade wants to do is get revenge on Molly for breaking up with him, and he did betray Lady since he was her pupil, but then he betrayed her. I do want to know, I would be interested in knowing why Shade is a member of the T.c.r. fleet even though he's a villain. And I would also like to know what Lilith's motivations are, what evil stuff she has planned. If I made a series with these Bluebird trains, I think what would be interesting is if I used the T.c.r. fleet, because I think they would have the most interesting and impactful stories of the series. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll do Bluebird remakes or my own Bluebird series, but that depends if I can write original stuff. Although I'm sure Agent Andrews might help me, create stories if he wanted to, with the T.c.r. fleet. If you guys think I should do a Bluebird series, please tell me. But who knows? I don't know if that might actually become a reality or maybe not. We'll see. But what matters is that we're taking a look at the Clapford Railway Fleet. Yes, T.c.r. is short for the Clapford Railway. Now, if I run out of time, we will take a look at the other characters in another part, but I'm going to go off from characters who have a bit of an attitude to characters who are actually more kind-hearted. So, let's not waste any time and dive right in. Agent Andrews, I hope you are excited for this. I know I am, because you are the absolute best at making OCs. Considering that Molly is my favorite OC that anyone has ever created. But who knows, maybe there might be other characters who I love besides Molly, but it's no competition. Molly is the best character. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. Alright, enough stalling. Let's go. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the characters who have a bit of an arrogant side to them, and then I'm going to go off with characters who are a bit nice. So starting off, we have Amy, the pink austerity tank engine, and Matthew, the gray austerity tank engine. I was starting to notice a similarity between Matthew and Thunder right over here, which is sort of interesting. Like, yes, they both do look the same, but Thunder has, like, black buffers and silver side rods. And not to mention... Okay, I'm going to talk about the face later, but I do know that Matthew has, like, the same gray color as Thunder, but he has gray buffers, red side rods, and he has the same face as Murdoch over here, who is one of my favorite characters from Season 7. Then you have Amy right here, who has, like, the same red lining... No, the red side rods. She has, like, silver buffers, and she has purple lining. And she basically has the same face as Rosie over here, which is pretty cute. Alright. And I just want to mention that they're both austerity tank engines like Wilbur here. Also, can you, like, see a coincidence here? Like, Wilbur and Matthew have the same face as Murdoch over here. I think that's pretty interesting. Alright, so, Matthew and Amy, what are their personalities? Well, they're basically school bullies, but Amy is the leader. Alright, so, these two are school bullies. I find it to be a bit interesting. Now, I do think they're okay, like, I know most of you are going to come to these characters' defense, and if you love these characters, I respect your opinion, but Ari and Bert are my least favorite engines in the entire classic Thomas series. I'm gonna say that right off the bat. Yeah, I really am not a fan of Ari and Bert, which, don't get me wrong, they had potential to be good, but that potential was all wasted when Season 6 came around, aka the weakest season, in my opinion, of the classic Thomas series. And I do think that Middle Engine is the worst episode of the entire series. Although I'm sure most of you might say that What's the Matter with Henry is a bad episode, or The Old Bridge, since Scarlet is out of character. But personally, I think Middle Engine is the worst episode of the entire series. Now, why am I bringing Ari and Bert up? Well, as I said, that Matthew and Amy are school bullies, and Ari and Bert were reduced to bullies back in Season 6, so I'm thinking that Matthew and Amy might be a little bit better than Ari and Bert. I'm not saying that I hate these two characters, but they would have to be, like, some of my, okay, like, I'm not trying to, like, despise any character that Agent Andrews has created. I still think he's a great guy, and I still think his OCs are awesome. Though I do think that Matthew and Amy being school bullies could work. Like, I would be interested in, like, seeing these two characters, like, if one day Adam does his series An Engine's Life, I would be interested, because, like, I know, like, it's been, like, a while since, like, I know he's, like, teased this series multiple times, and he even uploaded a, Train's image of Edward and Henry with their liveries from A Solar Life, or An Engine's Life. Sorry if I'm getting tongue-twisted, but his more recent updates are Edward and Henry with their sort of, like, Railway series colors, but they're basically based off of Adam's own headcanon of Thomas and Friends. Like, I think that would be interesting to see. But anyways, I do like Matthew and Amy's character designs. I do love the fact they have other faces, like, but, like, I do, like, find their antagonistic personalities to be a bit, interesting. Like, I do think that they're better than Ari and Bert. I'm just gonna say that. I actually like them more, because, like, oh yeah, I'm not saying that because I'm not prejudiced towards diesels. Like, I'm not like Thomas from Misty Island Rescue, where he's prejudiced towards diesels. I'm just saying that Ari and Bert were a bit, like, wasted potential. But who knows? I think Amy and Matthew have potential to be good. So I can't wait to, like, either make a series or, like, wait for Adam to do an Engine's Life. And possibly other T.c.r. fleet members. Okay, so that was Matthew and Amy. Moving on. Alright. Now we have, like, 2 other characters who are a bit arrogant, but I don't know if that would be the right word, but okay, like, picking which one of these 2, boy. I guess we'll start off with, Dan. So, Dan is sort of an interesting, engine, like, now, I did forget what he is based off of, I'm sorry, like, I haven't read that comment in a while, but I still think Dan is a pretty interesting character, so, like, he has this long body, like, his tender is basically the same as, like, other tender engines like James or Edward. He does have the same face as James, which I find amazing. Like, I think Dan is one of the... I'm gonna say that Dan is probably a splendid engine, if I'm being honest. Just for the fact that he shares the same face as James. Like, he even added James's smug face on the actual trains poster. Like, dude, I really love James's smug face. That's one of my favorite James faces. So thank you, Agent Andrews, for doing that. I really do think the smug face is pretty cute on Dan. Alright, and I also have to say that he has a pretty interesting wheel arrangement, and his running board is sort of interesting. Like, now he does have a firebox on the in between where his cab and his boiler are, but I do really like Dan's design. So, who is Dan as a character? Well, put simply, Dan is a bit of a jerk. Now, I think it would be interesting to know why Dan is so jerkish. Like, maybe it's because of, like, maybe he's boastful, maybe he's vain, I don't know. All I know is that Dan is a bit of a jerk. But I still think Dan would be interesting as a character. Like, I would like to know what makes him a jerk. Like, I don't know what else to say about Dan except, like, I do think he has a pretty nice design, but he's just one of those characters who has a bit of an attitude. Same with, like, Matthew and Amy and the other character who I'm going to talk about. Alright, so on that topic of, like, characters with an attitude, like, we've already talked about Dan, Matthew, and Amy here, but now here's Evie, the brown tank engine. Okay, Evie is sort of reminding me of another certain character who is also brown and has the same name. If you can guess who that is, tell me in the comments below. But anyways, we have Evie from Thomas and Friends, made by Agent Andrews. But I do know that there's another brown character named Evie, though I'm not going to spoil anything. I want you to guess who that character is. Although Evie is spelled differently with both Evies, but this one is spelled E-V-I-E. Now, what is interesting about Evie's design is that I think she's a K-class, if I'm guessing right. And what she was in one of Agent Andrews' videos, like, I love her brown paint, I love her yellow lining, I love her white roof. She kind of looks like Molly a bit, but she still has a different wheel arrangement and a dipped running board. Now, she does have those, like, what these things are on the actual running board, like, and she does have the same face as Mavis. Though, one thing I would be interested to know is, like, how did Agent Andrews get Mavis's face round? Because I know Mavis has a square face, but it took, like, a little bit of, like, skill to, like, actually cut off the face from when she was printed on paper. Like, I had to get that face all round, which was not easy, let me tell you. So, I would be curious to know, like, how he got Mavis's actual face round. I also should mention that Evie actually has Mavis's CGI face, but I went with the model series face because I love the model series more than the CGI series. So, who is Evie as a character? Well, she does have a bit of a rivalry with Adam and she's not fond of any of the other T.c.r. fleet members. However, she is best friends with Molly. So why am I putting her here as like having a bit of an attitude? Well, as I said, she has a rivalry with Adam for some reason. Like, now this would be interesting for story concepts. Like, I think it would be interesting if there was a story between like Adam and Evie having a rivalry. And I would like to know why that is. Like, I'm also surprised that she's best friends with his girlfriend Molly, even though like she has a rivalry with Molly's boyfriend Adam here. This is sort of a interesting like thing here. Like, I do think most of these characters have an interesting personality, which is why I'm glad I asked that. So, now if you do like Evie, tell me in the comments below. I'm gonna say that out of these 4 who have a bit of a egotistic, antagonistic self to them, like, now I don't know if like there are any other like villains besides Shade and Lilith and Agent of Death over there. I do think these characters might be on the good side, but they just have a bit of a like attitude. I think maybe just Dan and Evie. Like, I don't know about Matthew and Amy, but I still do think these characters are all good. I do think I prefer Dan and Evie more. I think Dan might be my favorite of these characters. Maybe because of that James face. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I still love that smug face he made. I still think James's smug face is one of my favorite faces in the entire show of Thomas. So, Agent Andrews, I do want to thank you for making that. Okay, I think it would be interesting if I actually gave Dan his smug face. Who knows? I might change the face soon. But if you like this face, or if you want me to give Dan his smug face, please tell me in the comments below. I would be interested in seeing that. But yeah. Who knows? We might have other characters who are as good as Molly. Alright, so with these 4 members of the T.c.r. fleet out of the way. Alright, now, we still got a few other characters left, so I think we'll start off with, I think we'll do, we'll do, Beth first. So, Beth is a bit of a prankster. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. Though I do like that she's a Sal tank engine, like Percy over here. I find that to be an amazing basis for a character. I think Percy is one of the most common, like, characters people use to make OCs. Then again, Thomas is also a most common character that people will use to make OCs. Like, how many E2 OCs are there in the world? That's what I'm asking right now. Because I know there are a lot, and I mean a lot of E2s in Thomas and Friends. So here's Beth, the Sal tank engine. Now, she's painted brown like Evie, and she has a black dome, which is pretty interesting. Like, now, that face is actually from one of the Bachman Jr. E2s, like, in Train's form. I'm pretty sure it's the green engine named Billy. Because I do know that Adam has, like, posted a picture of this character. Just, like, get a front view of the face. Now, one thing about Thunder is that I don't think this was supposed to be his original face. This is just the face that I had to go for, because, like, I couldn't find any other face that was facing front. But here's Beth. So, as I said, Beth is a bit of a prankster, which is why I'm putting her lower here. But I still do think Beth is a pretty amazing character, just because she's based off of Percy, and I do find that face to be a bit interesting. So, now, I do think Beth being a prankster could have, like, amazing stories. Like, this could be, like, for a more funny and hilarious type of story, like, where Beth pranks people. Though, I do know that not all pranks are funny. Like, I know most pranks can be hurtful, but I would be interesting to know what type of pranks Beth pulls on other engines, because I think it would be a bit hilarious. So, I think all these characters would have amazing potential for stories. Like, can you imagine, like, how many, like, amazing stories that I could probably come up with if Agent Andrews, like, gave me ideas for stories? Like, who knows? Maybe that might happen one day. But I think Beth is, like, she does have a bit of, like one noted character trait that she's a bit of a prankster, but I do think she is a bit good. So, I do really like Beth. Moving on. Now, let's talk about, Thunder over here, since I want to talk about him. Now, Thunder is a bit of an interesting character, like, as I said before, he's gray like Matthew, but the difference is that he has black buffers and these silver side rods. Now, I want to talk about that face, because, like, making the face was not easy for me. Like, I know his face is based off of 13, the Unlucky Tank Engine from Victor Tanzig's videos, The Stories of Sodor. I should also mention that Molly has the face of Molly from Stories of Sodor, as well as Adam and a few other OCs, if you can tell right here. But Thunder is a bit of a laid-back and relaxed engine with the attitude of a wolf, which I find interesting. There's another interesting, like, story about Thunder's character, which I haven't known yet, but I do find it a bit interesting. Yes, I did read that comment. So basically, Agent Andrews said that Thunder was created by both him and Lucinda, the austerity tank engine, but Lucinda gave Thunder to Agent Andrews to look after. So I do find it a bit interesting. I'm actually, like, sort of lucky that I have, like, Thunder, or any of the T.c.r. fleet members for that matter. Yes, I did ask if I could, like, make them, and Agent Andrews did say that I was allowed to make his T.c.r. fleet members ever since I made that video of special edition characters. And I'm actually quite glad that the collection has grown here, and I'm super excited to see the collection grow even more. Like, I'm a bit hyped to see the rest of the T.c.r. fleet members, so I cannot wait to, like, have the T.c.r. fleet expand even more and know what other characters have different personalities. But yeah, I do think Thunder is a bit of an interesting character. Like, he has the attitude of a wolf, but at the same time, he's a more relaxed and laid-back engine. So I think having Thunder would be interesting. Like, I would be interested to, like, think of different stories for Thunder, but who knows? Alright, I think I'll end the video right there, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the T.c.r. fleet members in the next part. So see you then.